All right, let's go ahead and get started. First off, I want to ask this question as answer it yourself in your head, whatever that word is again, and then we'll talk about it out loud. But real quickly, I want to ask you this: most rep coaches, they go into this, they know their schedules, they know their teams, they've got their uniforms, they got all this stuff ready, and they don't answer and clarify into a sentence to them, to their team, to the parents, what their mission is. Why would you go out and do this every week with practice? Why are you doing it in games? I think we know a general idea, but I don't think we have it always clarified enough that you can communicate it to others and say, this is the guiding wind that's going to make our sailboat go, right? To give that overarching mission. So I want to ask you, and I want to just kind of open it up for maybe a couple answers. Can you clarify in a short 1 or 2 sentences, what are we doing? Why are you out there personally? And I know there's a lot of different answers, so I'd like to open it up. Anyone has an answer? What's your mission?
I want the kids to play a season and love baseball and come back and play the next year.
Awesome. So he wants to be not bad enough that kids don't want to quit, right? He wants to be...
I want them to have fun and want to keep playing.
He wants them to have fun and keep playing on if they want. Perfect. What's another one? Anyone else have a mission that they've thought of? Cool. So that kind of rings to me passion, maybe, you know, the enjoyment of it and enjoy fun. Okay, yeah, so kind of that threshold test. Okay, I like it.
Prepare kids to, with skills necessary to be collaborators through baseball.
Perfect. Same with the typing example. They can't go to college and expect to type if they've never had fundamental skills. So teaching them fundamentals, exactly, yep. I like it. Cool. So I think we've basically touched on this. The reason we start with this is, again, at the beginning of the season, right? You do your parent meetings, you start and you try to, as you go through the ups and downs, a parent jumps a fence with their shirt off, right? Or, I do want to see that video, I really do. That's hilarious. So that happens. Or a kid's just failing and he hasn't hit a ball all year, or whatever the case may be. You're going to have little ups and downs that you're going to be driving home from practice and games and saying, boy, what is this and that? You should have a mission written down that's clear to you, to the parents that are bringing their kids, and then to the team to know what exactly you are there for, so that at the end of the season you can pull it back up and say, did we meet this? Right? That's the overarching mission that I think a lot of rec coaches don't clarify soon enough. These are 3 key missions. I've done a lot of research into this to find what are the top missions, what's the end result, right? And these are the 3 that I think are most important that we basically all have covered, that I think your mission statement for yourself should cover. A, building fundamentals. It is critical. It is critical to have that skills base if they go on. In high school, you know the #1 reason kids drop out of any sport? Why they get cut? It's because they can't hang, or they get cut, they don't have the fundamentals to do it. They never got the base level. I've coached high school kids that throw like this, and they say, yeah, I just kind of like watching it. Doesn't really cut it, right? You know the main group of kids that go and do drugs and hang out with that group, it's the kids that don't have an organized activity in high school. So building fundamentals is critical. Keep in mind, you're not building fundamentals now for MLB. There's a very, very, very high chance that you will never meet a kid that will play in the MLB. Just know that. Odds are way against it. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's a very low number of kids out of seniors in high school that even play college baseball. It's like below 5%. So don't expect that, but do expect to give them the rules and the fundamentals that if they decide to go on, if they get to high school and they decide to lift the weight, if they decide to go home and swing off a tee, they know how to do it properly. That's what we're trying to get at. They can use what you teach them to move on if they want to. That's fundamental. Secondly is fusing life skills. We've got teamwork. We've got community, leadership, right? Life skills are really, if you feel you've done okay in this world and you're doing all right, what made that? What message do you have, right, that you're going to go out and spread and ingrain in these kids so that they can be successful in life? Baseball is a tool for life. There's so many lessons, right? So tons of them. Choose one. Know what it is that you're really trying to ingrain in and teach that through the game of baseball. I'm going to show you how to do that with our method that we've come up with this year when you're planning your practices. Lastly, it is creating passion, right? And creating passion with kids. What are you passionate about? When you get up in the morning and you have free time, you have a free weekend, what do? What do you love so much that you're saying, I don't care, I'm going to do the work, right? That's a skill. Learning how to love something and put time into it is a skill we can teach. So whether the kid sticks with baseball or not, they should know, hey, this is fun. They should know, hey, there's a little bit of history here. They should be able to see somebody swing and not just say, oh, he hit a home run. They should say, wow, he generated power. That must have taken tons of hours of work and time. That's kind of cool, right? So that is stuff we can do as rep coaches to build passion, fuse in life skills, and then build fundamentals so these kids can take it wherever they want. All right? Any questions? Any additions from those experienced coaches as far as mission? Good. And again, we'll kind of keep it somewhat open. Cool. From there are 3 traits that I've identified that I think are the 3 traits of a great coach. This is a lot of based on how we train our instructors at Impact, observations, again, reading, research, and we tried to get down to it. Why do volunteer coaches falter? Why do volunteer coaches come to coaches' clinics? Why do they have that fear in their head to say, I have to step on the field and be expected to teach these kids something and play, right? So how can we take that away? There's 3 traits that we're going to be able to teach you today. I call it the skee ball coach. 3 things. 1 is structure. If you can have a flesh structure, if you can walk into practices and know exactly what you're fitting things into, if you can know where to go and you can communicate that and the kids know where to go, the parents know where to go, that is a good coach. So efficient, tight practices, team, all that stuff. That's 1. 2 is knowledge, right? So either knowing the knowledge or at least making it seem like you really know how to know it and knowing how to teach it. How do you teach it properly so the kids understand it, right? So knowledge is number 2, and lastly is engagement. I could sit here and teach everything, but if I talked like this and I just sat here, it's not fun to listen to. And if you think it's boring, just wait, because these kids will think it's 10 times as boring. Anything you think is just a little bit. So we got to make it engaging. So all of these, this is the basic theory of this. If we can improve these traits in volunteer coaches, you'll be a better coach, you'll feel more confident, and you guys will have a good report card at the end of the season. So let's dive into these. We're going to dive first into structure. You'll see tenets of each of these throughout all of this, but this is our system of how to get all of these things fused in without you really having to think about it. So Bill Walsh, any San Francisco fans? Coaching is practice, right? A lot of practice, and then when they play, they should just have fun. It should be what they practice. They should be ready to compete, yada, yada. So this is practice structure. So the best practice structure for this age level, all the way up until about 14, is this. And T-ball will talk. I'll let you know the little slight differences for those T-ball coaches. It's this. A, it's an opening talk. The opening talk, we're going to talk about fusing in a life focus. We're going to talk about a little strategy that I came up with called framing that we teach our guys to do. So that's going to be the opening talk. Second is the skill drill segment. That's going to be the meat of your practice, right? So that's going to be 1 to 3 segments that we're going to fit in your time. There's the game situational segment. That's going to be the fun, competing, get them out of the mode of thinking and just play. And then lastly, we've got the closing talk / ceremony. And you'll see what I mean by ceremony when we get into that. All right, so let's move in. We're going to talk about the opening talk. I see a lot of rec coaches make the mistake of when they get to practice, they bring the kids up and they just say, oh, hey, today we're going to be doing some skills, work hard, let's go, right? And they miss a great opportunity to frame the beginning of practice, to get the kids' mindset and have that last throughout the whole practice. So this I call framing, right? Framing is this. First, you have to think of that life skill for that day that you want to feed into them throughout that practice. So we'll use let's use effort as an example, right? So I might hop up, I say, everybody bring it up, and I'm going to say, today, kids, our big life skill we're going to focus on is effort. Who knows what effort means, right? And you may get some feedback. Kids might say, well, I think it's this, I think it's that. That's good. Discussion's great. Then you're going to explain it. You're going to define it with examples. Guys, I want you to know effort is when I say to run station to station, whoever is the leader that can give the most effort, they're going to sprint. I'll know who it is. And effort means every drill we go, even if you fail, you smile it off, you get back in line, and you step back up. Concrete examples so that they know what that term means, right? Once you've given that in a short 2, 3, 4 minute speech, lastly, you're simply going to remind them that you're going to be looking for and praising those people who demonstrate that term of the day, what you just described, and at the end, you're going to have a little celebration for those guys. You're going to honor those model athletes. The purpose of setting all this up, as you'll see, is A, it curbs bad behavior, right? This is a little bit of the engagement piece. If I know that effort and they know the demonstration when a kid messes around in practice, now instead of saying, hey, stop it, what are you doing, right? I can instead and this is a strategy we'll get into at the end here, but I might say, wow, I just saw him run from this station to station, giving best effort. Did you guys see how well he just ran to the station and gave that max effort? Wow. What do you think that kid's going to feel? He's not singled out because you yelled at him, but he's going to be like, whoa, maybe I got to put the effort in, right? It gives you a tool to use, and it kind of threads it throughout the practice. So behavior has occurred. And secondly, the purpose of this is, of course, to fuse the life skill, right? So these will be the things that they'll remember. I don't remember a game in youth ball that I won or lost. I really don't. Maybe a championship I kind of remember. I don't know the score, right? But I do know, I remember the coach saying, Brett, try this. I remember the bad coaches. I remember the good coaches that encouraged me and said, hey, get them next time. I remember them. And that is a life skill piece. So this is where you put it in and anchor it into these kids, all right? We call them skills. Skills last for life. Just remember that. When they learn something, they know it, and they got it concrete, they last for life. Life skills are no different. All right, so we started with the opening topic. The second part is the meat of the practice. So that should take about 5 minutes. So then you're going to head into your skill drill segment. Now, depending on your level, T-ball is probably just one of these. One skill, one drill, and then you might play a live game. It's a lot shorter with T-ball, attention spans, time of practice, energy, all that. And if you're older, you might do 2, you might do 3, you might do 4, right? But the point is, we're going to ingrain the skill, then we're going to teach a drill that works on that skill, that you can help them focus on it, and then we're going to reinforce it as we go on the drill. We'll talk more about this in just a little bit, because this does go a little more to a science, again, that we've worked on. So that's your meat of your practice. This part, the game situation setting. You should end practice with a game, not necessarily an actual game. Games are kind of slow, right? But you should end it on some sort of game situation thing that's moving, that everyone's engaged with these key points. A, there shouldn't be anything, right? In a game, you don't want kids to think about it. You just want them to act. Take what they practice and just go play. Have fun, right? So there shouldn't be anything so much in this. There can be reminders from a coach and encouragement of saying, oh, we worked on this skill in fielding today. And wow, I saw him do that. Did everyone else see that? Kind of reinforcing what you did work on that day. But it shouldn't be, thinking about it. 3, this ends the practice on a fun note. You want your kids leaving saying, Mom, I don't want to go. Let's stick around and keep playing, right? The passion part, we want that. And lastly, this helps them start to practice competition. And I do want to make a note on this because I think in this, I don't know, where youth sports are going, it's very two-sided. There are those that say, I don't want my kid to be weak. We got to win. We got to focus on winning and pushing. So we got to do it. We got the other side that says, why do we keep score even? They shouldn't be worried about the score. That's bad. So we kind of got those sides, and I'm sure we could have a long discussion about that on all different sides. But I have what I think I know is right. And I think after seeing all this, to know what's right, we got to look at what's the outcome, what's the end result. Will your kids go to college, hopefully? Probably. Will they want to get a job and help people in society? All those things. To do all that stuff, there's got to be some level of competition, right? They got to learn how to compete. But it doesn't mean if you get a job over someone else, it doesn't mean if you beat someone else on a baseball field, you walk over and say, ha ha, yeah, we killed you, blah, 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 and rub it in their nose. We should be teaching the sportsmanship part of competitiveness, where you go, you give it your all, you try to win, you try to beat that, and at the end of the game, you say, hey, if you lost, you might say, hey, you know what, you got me this time, but just wait, I'm going to get you next time. I'm going to work hard and find a way to get you, just wait. And they might say, oh yeah, good luck, all right, ha-ha, and then shake hands, let's go get ice cream. That's what it should be. That's sportsmanship. That's how we get better, right? So that's my take really on competition in today's society. I think especially rep coaches should really hit on. Teach them how to compete and teach them how to be sportsmanship. Sportsmanship. Whatever that is. We can edit that, right? Closing talk. Closing talk. At the end of your thing, this is very important, and if you do it on your first practice, this will set the stage for the future. So A, we got to review the skills we worked on. If I'm not being clear with this, the point is this, and this question came up this morning. When you go to coach, I think coaches think they've got to go in, and this kid swings a little off, so I'm going to work with him. And this kid swings here, and then this throwing, and they think I got to go practice with each and every kid on a rec team. I would say this, if you're unemployed, if you have 7 days a week, if you got your own personal gym and batting cage, do it. Bring every kid over, because that's what it's going to take to work with each and every kid. In a rec style setting, the fact is we just need to get those basic fundamentals. And really in baseball later, Not every single fundamental is going to work for every single kid. They'll morph it, they'll mess with it, but there are basics. Just like to make a painting, there's a frame, there's paint. It doesn't have to be the same thing, but we do need to teach that. So classroom style. Imagine being in a class of 25 kids. You got bad kids, good kids. Teach the skill, be razor focused. Make them master that skill there, and then know that, hey, that's tucked away for them. We can review it, right? And again, we'll get into exactly how to do that. In the closing part of the day, I would bring my kids up. We bring them up and we say, okay, kids, we're going to go ahead and review the skills of the day. Who can step up here and be a leader? Who's going to put in the effort to show me who remembers what skills we talked about, right? Then you can bring a kid up, have them describe to the group, have them show it. Cool, so you get through whatever skills, we ingrain it, and then we go to the celebration. At that point, we say, okay, guys, to end it, I want to go ahead and celebrate those kids who modeled effort. And I always try to have concrete examples. You know, the kid that ran from one station to the next, his name is, drum roll, right? Jerry, yeah, right. So Jerry ran, yeah, effort. So that kid should come up. Hopefully parents are waiting for their kids. Get them clapping, get the team clapping, shake their hand, every assistant coach. Make it like a big deal that they followed that life skill. You do that the first practice, guess what happens next practice when you talk about a life skill? Guess what happens when you demonstrate exactly what the life skill of the day is? You're going to have kids zipping all over the place. You won't have to worry as much about engagement, right? And on top of that, of course, now they know what effort really means and how it feels to get effort. I'm not big too much on everybody, if they don't show it, they got to learn. And that's what we're here to do. That's a good thing. Okay, any questions on the structure? We're going to dive a little bit more into the meat of the practice, but any questions on the structure so far? Okay, cool. So let's go to the K part of the ski coach. So knowledge. This is again really where I think a coach stands up here and he says, here's how you do this, here's how you do that. It just gets way too much. So we've got a little bit of a different approach we're going to be taking this year. So I'll tell you about that. First, I do want to dive into the skill and drill segment and how to really do this. Okay? So let's pretend we just finished an opening talk, we're going into the meat, and we're going into our first skill segment. Let's say it's throwing, a throwing skill. So we're going to have the kids warm up, and we're going to have them throw. The first part, under skill where I have that, the question becomes, how do we actually teach a kid to understand what we're saying? Should I just say, when you throw, yeah, you keep your elbow above. Just keep your elbow above. No, I told you to do it. I told you to keep your elbow above. Why aren't you doing it? Right? Has anyone ever had that where you're trying to coach, you're trying to tell them, and the harder you tell them, you know, the less they do it until it becomes frustrating. I would say to that, by the way, take a ball, put it in your hand, throw it with your offhand, and you try to do what you've been telling you to do. Videotape it, see if it really works. That's what the kids are dealing with. It's a skill. It takes time and effort. So this is, concept learning is a term that we came up with, that we've experimented with, and it works. Before we do that, can I actually just open it up? What's the best way to teach a kid? Anyone have thoughts? If there was a kid right here and you were teaching him, is there any, how would you do it? What would you say?
Yeah. Model it and see if they can imitate.
So model it, showing imitation of it. Okay, yep, definitely. So demonstrating it, exactly, yep. What other ways? How could you communicate it?
Break it down into steps.
Yeah, so simplifying it, getting it to the base. So, right, if I'm sitting and swinging like this, like, as you'll see soon, I mean, that can be broken down into probably 200 different things. I could probably sit here for a week. You could show up here 9 to 5 every day. We could talk about hitting every single day, in and out, going lower and lower. But exactly, we got to break it down in little pieces. We got to get this little piece perfect that connects with this piece, and then the timing of the two, and then all these factors. So yes, breaking it down. Anything else? Modeling, breaking it down. How do you get it so the kid actually gets it? How do you know the kid gets it? You could explain, you know, break it down perfectly, model it perfect.
Make it fun.
Making it fun, definitely, yeah, and 100%, we'll get into that, 100% making it fun and engaging, right? So in the talk of it.
Have them do it so you can assess.
Yep, so having them do it so you can see and have them feel it and form it, and anything else.
The kid who does it right, have them demonstrate for the class as well.
Okay, so that's good, and another take on demo and kind of giving the leadership to them, I like it.
Get feedback from them on what they thought they did right.
Cool, so hey, how'd you feel about it? Get them talking about what they felt, that definitely sinks in. Good, and it could be time. You know, that could take some time, but if it's an important enough skill, 110%. Cool, anything else? Yep, practice, yep, and we will definitely get on practice, because that's a huge one. Cool, anything else? And there is one I'm fishing for, but okay.
Do it slowly.
Yeah, actually, yeah. This is the musician of the crowd, by the way, doing stuff slowly. I'm playing guitar, I was telling him about it, and I have to do it like super slow. But if I do that, after a week, I can do it fast. So yes, 100% slowly. In a practice setting too, the one also that I think is important that really hits with the concept learning is we've got to connect it to that which the kid knows. Right? Kids, up till about the age 14, it gives and takes, some kids more, some less, especially young kids. They don't have the hardware set in their head yet to be able to take language and words and then process it in their head and then make an outcome. They just don't really have it. You got to connect it, you got to bridge it. What they already kind of know or what they could understand, and then explain it in those terms, right? So that is, it's not easy. You have to know the skills very well, and then be able to find what they know and connect them. But let me give you an example of something we'll go over today. How I might teach the skill of maybe one piece of hit, right? So everyone in here watches a major league. You might know the hit is very important to get power. We don't want this action. We don't want to spin with our upper body. That's all bad habits. This is where the power comes from. When I engage my hip, this brings my hands, and then I can swing, right? So how do we teach that to a kid? Here's what one way we do it. So we'll say, hey kids, listen up. I want everyone to look down between your legs. There's a little ninja standing there. You see him? This little ninja has a board. He's facing it towards your back knee. You're going to take your knee. I want you to crack the board of that ninja just like this. I don't want you to crack him in the nose. I want you to crack him right through the board, just like that. Any kid can take that and say, oh yeah. You might even say, hey, on the count of 3, we're going to go hi-ya and have them try it out so they can feel it. And then it's pop, hi-ya. Good. And then from there, you can say, oh, you're not squishing, or your back foot. So maybe you add something, hey, there's a bug underneath your back foot, he's laughing at you, he's the friend of the ninja, how do you squish him? Right? So fun things like that, making it fun, making it exciting, but making it connect so they understand. That's taking a concept they know and mixing it with a new concept so that they don't forget. And we can turn that up because I guarantee you if I see you guys in 2 months and I say, hey, remember Ninja? You probably remember that. Right? So that's concept learning with the skill. That's kind of the level we have to when we teach it. So if we're in a group, I might go through that and say, Ninja, everyone try it. Once I feel everybody's got it, that should take about 5 minutes. 5 minutes going through it. Then I would go to my drill. And of course, like I said, the drill's only as good as the skill that's being drilled in. So we got to have a drill that fits that. So for this example, actually let me back it up. Let's go back to the music part. This is perfect for that. In a drill, how does somebody act? So you teach somebody in guitar, let's say this. Let's say you teach them some fingering on one string, just on the G string with these. If who doesn't play guitar? It doesn't matter. But yeah. Okay, so let's say you got a guitar. He's saying if he did this back and forth 100,000 times, you think he'd be pretty good at guitar just doing that? Probably, right? You're probably pretty good. Would you do that? Would you make it through 100? Probably not, right? And we find that boring. Again, with kids, that's really boring doing this. You think it's fun for a kid to sit and practice and just practice this the whole time, or even think, that's not fun. It's terrible. So to get kids, the question becomes, how do we get kids, or anybody for that matter, to do something that's boring? How do we get them to do it enough that it becomes a habit? And the answer that our term that we come up with, that we live by, is gamification. Any drill you do to make it engaging and fun for a kid so that they want to do it, it's gamification, it's making it fun. There's 3 ways to gamify anything you do, even the guitar example. A, it's to challenge it. And before I move on, hey, my friend right there with the bat, you look fast, dude. Are you fast? The only thing is, and this has nothing, don't worry about these guys. This is just, my question to you is, do you think you could run to the wall and back in 20 seconds? It's a big ask, but you look fast. All right, stand up. On the count of 3, I'm going to time it. Ready? 1. Wait, I don't think you can do this, though. I really, hey, no, you look fast, but I don't know, man. You look pretty quick. Back in 20 seconds. Right, mark. Get set! Go! 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Oh, my goodness, you ready? Let's give him a round of applause. Hey. That was fast. Air 5. That was sweet, man. Very good. All right, so challenging someone from within. I know personally, if it's in a right way, if someone says, Brett, you can't do that, right? That's where we get our fire a lot of times. So it's an innate thing, especially with kids, making it fun. I don't think you can do it. Challenging is personally challenging someone from within to do something. I don't think you can do this at least 100 times. I bet you find a way to do it. Just say, oh yeah, take this, Brett. The second way is competition. So competition is pitting two athletes against each other, or two teams, or three teams, right? And all they're doing is saying, first team to cross the finish line, most points, yada yada, right? Competing against each other, it gets real fun. Kids keep track of the score, kids they go hard, right? So that's that. And then the last one, it's just strictly games. You know, there's probably some crossover in all, but Monopoly, everyone knows the rules. You know what happens if you break the rules. You know the objective to try to win. So games are kind of laid out and termed. And so those, again, we'll get into in a moment. I know some of you guys are saying, this is great, Brett, but like, how do we use this? How do we get the skills and drills? I promise you I got you on that. Before we do that, I do want to dive into the last part, the reinforcement. So you got your skill, you taught the thing. Let's say for the drill, we do a home run derby. Instead of one dad throwing, we got a home run derby, two teams. Each player gets 6 swings. You get 10 points if you hit it over the cone set up. All the players in the field, they get 5 points for every ball they field. They can rob home runs if they pick it up, as long as they go and put it back in the bucket next to coach, right? And so now everyone's working for points. Everyone's cheering it on. How we make that reinforced as a coach, the formula is just this. It's learning how to make the skill a rule of the game. So if you teach the ninja thing and we do that home run derby, as a coach you might just say, okay guys, I'm going to, you know the rules? The only last rule is this. We worked on the ninja. Everyone show me again. And no matter how far you hit it, if you hit it 10 times over the cones, if I notice you didn't at least try the ninja board, no points, right? And so you can enforce it, you can be a little light, next time try it, right? But that automatically gives you something at stake to make those kids say, oh yeah, come on, we got to do it. Or Timmy, come on, try the board, right? The kids will start pushing each other. So that's the formula, and that's how you really can reinforce skills. Again, with the idea that at the end of practice, there's 1 to 3 skills that you have just drilled into these kids' head so they can use them later. Cool. Any questions on the skill and drill segment? Length. Length is how long the coach, it's on you. If you think the kids if you're losing them, switch it up. Have them the next drill plan. If you think they're just having fun and it's productive or they don't have the skill, keep it going. Cool. Hey, let me know T-ball. On the structure, if you're a T-ball coach, again, it's opening top. It's one skill, one simple skill, one fun drill game, and then you should just go right into regular game because if you have a coach T-ball, the first kid will hit it and he's going to run through first, and I mean through first. They just keep going most of the time. So work on them with that, reinforce, but it is good to just put some of these little skills, again, as we'll get like fingertips down. Put the fingertips down. That's good stuff that later on a light bulb can go off in their head as they develop. So, cool. If there's no other questions on that, here's what we've got. So these guys were nice enough to invite me to a board meeting. I kind of said, hey, I got a crazy idea. What if we tried this year? And thankfully they said, hey, let's give it a try. So this is what we're going to be doing. We have made practice plans for the rec coaches. All the practice plans are by age group, so there isn't crazy skills for one and less skills for other. Again, the reason we have that is because it's insane for me to come up and try to give 25 years of knowledge to all these different age groups and levels. It's just insane. All right, so we'll have those. Everyone's going to get about 5 practice plans for the age level, right? So if you're 10, 12, it'll be the same practice plan. You can use them, take one and then switch it to the other, right? So you can do a little bit of that and mix them up. You don't even have to use them exact. But they're a tool. You can use them however you want. All right? Good. All good? Cool. So, yeah, let's do this. We're going to go, okay, let me explain the practice plan. It's going to have skill drill. Skill drill. There'll be PDFs sent to Dan or one of the board members, and we'll get those out to you. And these are the videos that Coach Dave and I and our team have created. So I just want to give you a little taste of what it would look like, and then try to just help you see how you can form into that formula. So we'll start with this first one, and this is Coach Dave here.
All right, guys, so the focus of this skill for infielders is how do we move our feet through the ball so that we keep our momentum going into our target when we throw. So what we like to teach our athletes is they want to kind of have short patter feet as they're approaching the ball so that they don't come to a complete stop and just break down like a lot of athletes do. And then once they feel like this, now they have to stop and try to gain momentum again. It's going to take way too long. So what we do is instead of stopping our feet and setting up and breaking down, we're actually going to have short kind of patter feet like this, and then we're going to go right, left, field, boom, through the ball to field. Okay, so the short patter feet here, boom, short patter feet, right, left, field, and throw.
Cool. So let's pretend you got that. You watched that video a couple times. You say, that's the skill I'm teaching in this segment. Then you take the next piece, which is a drill that would fit that, right? So we'll give drills that match within the segments there. By the way, our segments we'll be sending you in the practice plan. It's going to be throwing and catching segment. It's going to be offensive segment, which is hitting and base running skills. And then you'll have a defensive segment, infield and outfield skills. Very basic, very simple, and there should be enough for you to choose from. So this would be the drill. Remember, you've taught the skill. Now you're going to make sure they have the drill running, and then think about how you might reinforce this. And I guess we'll do a little quiz of how you might.
This drill is called the goalie challenge. And here's how it works. Partners are going to face each other, and they're going to compete against their partner that they're facing. And basically it works like this. Each partner starts with 7 points, and as they throw the ball on their ground to their partner, they're going to try to get the ball by them. And if they get it by them, their partner loses a point. So you want to retain as many points as you can as you play. Now, a really bad throw that's impossible to field, of course, the person who threw it would lose a point. And any partner group who finishes early, the coach can just tell them to restart.
Cool. So maybe you watch that 1 or 2 times and say, okay, yeah, I got it. So you can see, now you can say, all right, kids, all of that was just said, and then you can say, oh, by the way, I'm going to be watching. If I see anyone not using the right-left step, then you lose an automatic point. And I'll just come and point to you. You lose a point. You lose all your points. You got to do push-ups, right? Whatever it was. Any questions on that? Simple enough, right? Let's watch. Let's just watch some for the hitting ones. Let's watch a hitting skill.
The focus of this skill is helping the athlete, the hitter, get a little more balance in their swing. And so many athletes we see, they swing with their upper half or their weight's too high as they swing, which isn't going to equal a lot of balance. The basic equation is balance equals power. So if they're not balanced, they're not going to have much power. Here's a very simple way you can teach your athletes to make sure they have that balance. All right, and it's all about low center of gravity. Low center of gravity, if we have it low, right, if we push our weight down, we're automatically going to be more balanced. So a lot of kids, if I ask them, I'll say, what is low center of gravity? They won't know, but to teach them, this is a really simple analogy you can use. Tell them, take your hand, put it at your belly button, and imagine wherever your hand is as heavy as a bag of bricks. And all we're going to do to start with is everyone move your hand up and imagine this heaviness going up and up and up, right, till it's here. And if you do it right, you really do feel heavier up top. If someone pushed you and you push the kids, they'll kind of rock. Now, if we tell them then to take their hand after that and push it down further and further, right, until they're kind of bending their knees and they feel the weight down below their knees, automatically they'll sink that weight down, right? And that is what low center of gravity is. You can push them after you do that as well, and they'll feel a more sense of balance, right? So, of course, then they can put their hands right up and feel what that feels like in a batting stance to get guaranteed more power.
So you teach the balance, you have a way to teach it, and then I think it's the one to the left there, Jay, the H, yep. And then you might take a drill like this.
This drill is called the active batting practice drill. For this drill, you'll need a bucket of baseballs, and you'll need to count off all of your athletes so that each athlete has a number. Athlete number 1 will always start at home plate, athlete number 2 is going to start on deck, and athlete number 3 will be in the hole. If you have an assistant coach and you want athletes to get a little bit of extra reps in a net or off a tee, you can always have athlete number 4 taking side swings with that coach. Everybody else will play in the field and will wait until the coach calls the next number. Here's how the game works. Hitters will get 10 swings and will earn 10 points for every hard ground ball or 20 points for every line drive they hit. Easy to field pop-ups will count as 0 points, and remember, points are always decided at the coach's discretion. The defenders in the field can earn 10 individual points for every fly ball they catch and 5 points for cleanly throwing and fielding in any ground ball. For dead balls on the ground, athletes can also pick those up and throw those in for 2 points apiece just to keep balls moving in the system. After each athlete hits, the coach will call the next number and the rotation will continue until everybody has had a chance to hit. The player with the most points at the end of the game wins the drill.
So now you know you got something on stake. You might say, now remember, if I come up and I can push you over, if I call time and a parent can push you over while you're hitting, you're not balanced, well, you lose 20 points. right? So that way they're reinforcing exactly what you've been teaching. Cool. Any questions on those? I mean, we got others. We got a game one that we have. We're here. We'll just watch it. It's like a minute. This game is called Impact Ball. We do this with young guys. We do this with old guys. This game, literally, like you've seen it. A lot of these guys, a lot of y'all have seen it. Oh gosh, it just keeps kids moving. The game drills that you'll get from us, all of them are pretty much integral, right? So meaning all the, everything you've worked on in that practice, they should be able to work in this game. So here it is, Impact Ball.
This game is called Impact Ball, and here's how this game works. You're simply going to split your group into two separate teams, a defensive team and an offensive team. The defensive team is going to spread out anywhere on the field to start with, and when the ball is hit, if they catch it in the air or they catch it on the ground, first person's going to grab it, and he's going to throw it between his legs to one of his defensive players lining up behind him. That person will field it with their glove, and they'll throw it to the next person who throws it to the next person until they finally get to the last guy who's going to set up and throw the ball into the coach that ends the base runner's run. On the offensive side, the first hitter is going to walk up and hit the ball into play, and they're going to run the bases as many times as they can. With every touch of every base, it counts as a point for their team, and they're just going to keep running. Even if they get home and the ball's still out there, they're going to keep running around. As many points as they get, they're going to try until the ball gets into the coach. Once the coach has the ball, he'll say freeze. The batter will run off the field, and the next hitter will come up to start the next hit.
It wasn't always there. I don't know if it was. When you get on the field, that game too, oh my gosh. And kids literally will be like, no, let's not stop. Let's keep going. This is fun. Cool. So that's that. So again, those will be getting to the lead. Those will be provided for you. Cool. I think we would be remiss if we didn't take just a moment to clarify 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. Just some mechanics, because we do have a lot of levels here. I think there are a lot of misconceptions and questions of what's really right. Am I teaching this wrong? A parent's yelling something and he keeps saying it. Is that even right? So I put some examples. Elbow up, elbow down, bat too heavy. Or of course the typical question: how to snap? How do you snap off a Snapdragon 12.6 if somebody's stepping in the bucket? A couple T-ball coaches asked me that the other day. So no. Yeah, that's a little advanced. Any questions to clarify? Let me do the elbow up. Should I do that one real quick? I think that's a really big volunteer coach question, right? So what is right? Elbow up, elbow down. Just for a poll, who thinks up? Yeah, who thinks down? Right. So the answer is there's not an exact answer. Everything is it is comfort level. I do swing with my elbow up, but when teaching young kids, here's really the end goal, right? To teach something and teach it well and make sure they know it, we gotta teach the simplicity. We gotta break it down to the most simple parts, because the more layers we cake onto a mechanic, the more chance there is for error, the more chance there is to develop flaws. Dontrell Willis, when he pitched, remember him, he had this huge leg kick, he did all this stuff, and all the pros and everyone says because he did all that stuff, flaws started kicking in. He had to fix this, then this happened, then he had to fix this, and pretty soon, he's out of the bigs and in the indie ball. So, the most simple, which of those two is most simple? If I swing with my elbow up like this, I can't swing and keep my elbow up. It's not possible, right? I have to swing and bring my elbow down. If you don't believe me when you step out, try, right? So, the simplest way is to do it with my elbow nice and relaxed. A lot of times I'll take an athlete's hand, I'll tell them breathe in as I lift their hands up, and I'll say breathe out and relax. And they come to this position. Nice, loose, relaxed position, and their elbows are like a box. 1, 2, 3, 4 corners. You can drop, and so it's nice. This is actually straight from the school of Dusty Baker, right? Box arms. So from here, again, a kid can start here and bring their hands back and then be able to swing just fine. It stays loose. They still have enough pop, right? And the only reason you put the elbow up is because it adds a little more power with the timing of it. So if I start here and then I swing, my elbow comes down. You see Bryce Harper does it, right? He gets more power, more width. But that timing step, for a kid that's barely hitting the ball, what good's it going to do if they can't make contact, right? So starting kids with this and then letting them, as they master stuff, add little pieces on that's unique to them, that's okay. For Little League, in general, especially if a kid's struggling, elbow down. Cool. Any other questions that come up? And throwing, hitting, catching, fielding?
We're just saying, keep your hands up.
Where to start the hands? Yep, and we'll have those hopefully on the practice plan too. I think we'll cover, but where the hands should start, basic guide is just the most simple way is if you can take your thumb and face and almost touch your shoulder like this, that's a good starting place. Think about it like punching something. This is where we start. We don't punch from here, we don't punch from here, back here. This is a nice power spot. So I can punch, and that's exactly what we're doing, just with a big old stick. So it's right in here, exactly, right in that, nice and relaxed. And relaxed is key. Anything tight is not athletic. Anything loose is good. Holding ball, holding bat, loose. Cool.
I have a tough time articulating the hip thing to kids.
Cool. So the question was, how do we articulate the hip thing into the swing, right? Okay. Well, the reason is it's multifaceted, probably, and there's a lot to it. So I'll do it as fast as I can and try to explain how we get power from the hips. All right. First step is that ninja thing, right? We have to be able to have someone have a feel to take the power here. It even starts before that. So we teach what we call power triangle. All right, the reason I teach that, if I drew a line from knee to knee, this shape is a triangle. If I'm fighting my legs in here and my thighs, they should be squeezing together like a magnet. So this is where I get my power. If I start like that in my stance and I'm anchored right here, I don't know, if you want to stand up and try it, feel free, because it may make more sense. You'll feel a little bit of like a pocket, a wind-up bubble of power kind of right here. So once this is here, then we have to have them know in their head that they can rotate this power down to the ball. Not out to it, but boom, down to it. This motion, right? So once you get all that, which is not an easy task, right? That takes time. Once we've developed that, then the question is, how do we transfer the hip power, that rotation power, to come from the hands? You'll see a lot of kids will do this, just for example, you might stand it up real quick, just for ease, get in a batting stance. Yeah, no, I'm going to make a fool out of you pretending I'm teaching, right? So stand up, your hands up, baby, and facing these guys. A lot of kids, so if you do the back hip, I'm just going to hold your hands and try to pretend like you're going to swing. Let's see if you do. Okay, so you got strong hands. This is good. Do it so this is relaxed. When you pop this hip and just keep this loose. Ready, go. This is 80% of the time you'll see kids do this. Good. Henry used to do this actually. And then when you hit those 2 bombs in summer camp, he broke right out of it. This is very typical. So even if they have the hip thing, they don't connect it to the bat, they can't get power out of it and actually throw the hand. So what that's called, what we call that is the hip-hand connection. So just like you did your golfer. A little bit. Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe put your hands back up one more time. Yeah. I tried too. Try is a big word. Put your hands up real quick in a batting stance, sorry. Yeah, so then back here, just like you did before, basically I tell the kids, if there was a barrel that I screwed onto his hip and a barrel that I screwed onto his shoulder, when we swing, it should be barrel, boom, boom, just like this. So as he goes, go ahead and pop that hip. And as he pops that, the shoulder and hands will come as a result of the hip, and it'll get his hands right to here. So again, it's boom. And if we can get to this position, now all it is throwing the hands. And then you get that fluid motion down and it's easy. So yeah, good swing, man. I got after a cruise ship for the men's team. Beautiful. Okay, so does that help a little bit? Good. It is a step process, and really teaching any mechanic, teaching guitar, you got to know the fingerings first, you got to know the notes, blah, blah, blah. So, great. Any other literally things to clarify that are like, hey, who's right? Or who's been on the online rabbit hole, you know, all the spin hitting?
Yeah, so I learned about fielding, just basic ground ball fielding.
Yep.
For the younger, 5, 6, 7.
Perfect.
I've heard a lot of things about one knee down, or which would conflict with the left-right field throw that you showed. So is that like an age, like a transition? It's like 10 years ago they used to say knee down, now they don't, or how does that change?
Yes, well, and just to clarify, that video you saw, that's probably like 10-year-old, 11-year-olds is what that would be. So the basics, though, of that. Anytime you go on a knee, I don't like it, especially for you. That's more of a flavor thing. You see MLB guys do that when they're in the outfield, and they'll go on a knee. And it's not really anymore as much of a thing, right? And the reason is, especially at a youth field, the ball's going to go everywhere, so you want to be able to move. So we want to teach kids to stay up. The number one thing you can ingrain in a kid's head is just get your chin in front of the ball. I had a conversation with Mike Porter the other day. We were talking about this, and really, that's what we see kids doing is the chin not staying in front, right? And how do you keep your chin in front? You also have to teach you to keep your feet moving, right? So good feet getting in front, if they can square it up, everything else can come into play as they develop. And, you know, with these videos that come in, I think it'll lay some of those little teaching points out. But feet and chin, number one, to stay out of the 5-hour coach's clinic from mine. I'll go, man. I really will. Watch out. Does that help? Okay. Cool. All right, if you have any other questions, we'll kind of go over at the end or whatever. And I do have, at the end, I have a contact. So you can reach out with any questions. Cool. All right, so now that we got the S, everyone feel good about the structure? Everyone feels good about how to use that and put the knowledge into the structure? So let's talk about engagement. Strategies besides, so the gamification, obviously that's going to be like 70%. When you're doing drills, keep it engaging. The gamification helps. Secondly is the framing. When we frame our stuff, now you have a thread, you can mention effort, you can mention hard work. Let's talk about just a couple key strategies. This will just take a moment that I think are useful to rec coaches. These are things we teach all of our staff when they come on, of how to handle basic situations. So the first thing is this. As a rec coach, you hop on the field and it's like, I got my plan, I got these parents, I got to meet these kids, I got to do this. And it's so much that you stop on the field and you kind of forget that you got to connect with the kids first to even do any of this stuff, right? So when you meet the kids, how do we meet them? What's the strategies to get in their way? How do you make it so they say, oh, this guy's really nice, this guy's really cool, and I trust everything he's going to say? You know, how do we do that quick? And that's not an easy task. So that's the thing. Before I tell you the strategy, I do want to point out those pants, those are sick. Where'd you get those?
I don't remember.
Okay. But purposely you took them because you thought today would be a nice day to wear American pants.
I'm also wearing my Wonder Woman shirt. Yeah.
I was going to tell you to do that. Yeah, oh, I mean, that's sweet. So very well, I really think it does complement everything well. I think it's a good look.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
How do you feel? Yeah, even though you knew I was probably doing something, even, right, because who has like nice pants in the middle? But you're going to say, right, people, in general, everybody, puts emotional connection on something they put a little bit of time or a little bit of effort into or what they're wearing. There's emotional connection there. With kids, it's even more. They love stuff, right? So a very easy, simple trick when they come, we can say, whoa, those shoes, where'd you get them? How cool. Wow, right? And automatically, the benefits to you as a coach is they say, oh, this guy knows his stuff. He knows his fashion, right? Or they say, I can trust this guy. I believe him. So very helpful as a coach to get that engagement. I'd say it goes further than even memorizing their name, right? Because now they want to tell you about what they got. Coach, look at my other new shoes, right? So that we call that's the compliment strategy. All right, so compliment strategy, very simple one. We got like a million strategies we teach. I tried to pick out the best ones, the easiest ones. That one I think is super simple. Secondly, hey my man, real quick, I got a question for you. Yeah, who's your favorite baseball team? Don't worry about these guys. Yeah, I just want to ask you. What? What is it? Wait, say it one more time. Yankees! Dude, I'm not a Yankees fan, but I love what they do. Who's your favorite player? Dude, you know about Vic. Come here. Dude, that's mine too. Come here, man. That is sick. Way up. Yeah, buddy. Hey, dude, I'm going to remember that next time I see you. Right? So, any relationship is built with the ball. Hey, how are you? Hey, good, how are you? Right? The back and forth, especially with kids. You ask them a question, and you just agree. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Wow, that's amazing. By doing that, you build a little rapport, and then, really, again, you can take them and teach them life lessons. You can teach them purpose. You can teach them passion. So those seem to help just to build the trust initially. All right, let's move on to the second part. This is probably the most of your season is leading groups. Again, now we have a lot of these, but I will say, so let's just go over these two that I laid out. One is called the accordion method. A lot of rec coaches, a lot of our instructors, what happens is everyone's spread out and you say, hey, over there, blah, 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 come over here. So the accordion strategy worked great for a team because once you teach it once, you can use it over and over again. It saves your voice. You don't go home and feel, like, man, I'm dead. And all you do is basically this. So I've worked on hey, I'll make sure to mention it too. I got you. So we'll see you. Okay, so remind me to mention about the upcoming clinics. That's what he wanted to make sure I get. Okay. Accordion method. Here's basically what it is. I've gotten very good. I've adopted this whistle. It sounds like this. Right? So I can do that. And you can use a whistle. You can use a beat. You can use whatever to yell. Basically training the kids that every time they hear that, they need to look left, they need to look right, they need to see who's next to them, and then they need to sprint in up on you. And the reason we bring kids in, of course, is now you can say, hey kids, all right, here's what I saw. There was a behavior issue, or here's what we actually need to work on in practice. So then you bring kids up, and then we say, okay, you guys ready to go back to your spots? Go. You get them in the habit of that, they'll go right back to their spots. Young kids, it's good to have visuals, put cones down, right? So they're always going there and coming back, and they know where to go when you bring them in and pull them back out. Accordion method, that'll save you quite a bit in your voice. Second, a great one just to get attention. I actually used this the first time, right? So very simple. The kids will stop where they're at and they'll get in the game if you just say, touch your elbow, touch your wrist, touch your knee, touch your nose, or whatever I'm touching. Works really well, and I always like to end it by saying, if you're listening to me, now take your eye and put it right on my eye so I know that you're listening. All right, so those seem to work pretty much without fail. Again, we have plenty of those, so if you do have problems engaging your team and you want some more group leadership to engage kids, reach out, and we can send you some videos. Lastly, let's go over the bad behavior. This one works very well. So this is the positive versus negative attention. If you don't know it already, the currency for kids, the currency that kids go by, they collect, they love, they want, is attention. And they don't know the difference a lot of times. Not all of them do a positive and negative. So if I tell, if it's a kid who is, you know, whatever, giving them negative attention isn't so good. It gives them some attention. I kind of put it to, if I tell you to dig a hole, right, two people dig a hole, if one I say, here's $5, and then the next day I say $5, dig a hole, the next day $5 breaking back, keep digging a hole, eventually they're going to stop coming. They're going to stop listening to me. They don't want to do it. Someone else would say $1,000 dig a hole. I bet they'd keep coming over and over. That's really positive. That's a lot. That's what it does. And so this person listens, and they continue to listen. They want that positiveness. These guys don't. They want the negative. Here's basically where we're getting at. If you're in a group and kids come up, you have kids pulling hair, they have them pushing each other. Very easy for you as a coach to lose your temper and say, you know, stop it. What are you doing? Knock it off. Hey, don't. Right? You single them out in front of the group. You tell them something negative. You give them that negative attention, and you give into it. The other side, this is the way you should handle it. The positive way. Giving out positive attention. It looks like this. Say the same situation. They come in, they're messing around. You got some kids looking up, looking down. And then maybe you have one kid over here who's halfway looking at you, just dazed, looking past your head, not even staring at you. You might take that and you might do something like this, giving him positive attention. You might say, oh my goodness, look at this guy. He's giving me perfect eye contact, looking at me, I can't believe it. Holy cow. And I would just sit there and you praise him. Wow, and give it to the group. Pretty soon, you're going to notice real fast, there's going to be a kid right here that sees it and zooms right into your eyes. Boom. Oh, and I got it right here too. This guy's got great attention. Fantastic. And then all of a sudden, like popcorn, boom, 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 boom. Everyone starts pulling up until the guys that are causing trouble, they feel weird. It feels weird because they're messing around and everyone's zoned in. Now they have to zone in. So not only does it work in the moment to get those guys in with giving the positive attention, guess what happens the next time you call them? You're going to have two kids, coach, yep, right? And then you praise them again. And then pretty soon the next time, 4 kids, and then 8. Pretty soon you have kids wanting that attention just by getting their eyes up and listening to you. So really easy way just to kind of get ahead and correct that bad behavior in the moment without losing your patience. I don't have this one on here, but I do want to share this last one. This last one I call the I notice strategy, and it's actually one of my favorites. There was a kid that was just a terror. And he's older now. He's actually really good now. But this kid, so to me, the bad kid, there's always like 5 per league. Man, and if you're getting one of those, you'll know what I mean. It's like, boy, every time you go. So for this kid's name's Ian for me. Who's ever had a kid like that? You know, you coach him. It's just like, good Lord, yeah, there it is. So here's how you basically deal with that. Obviously, you can't do it in a group setting, so maybe you get a game going. If you do get one of those kids this year, the only way to deal with that is to pull them aside. Hopefully that's going, or you have a parent for a minute take it. You get on eye level with them, so I always make sure to get down. I think eye level is always a sign of respect for kids. First part of this is basically, you do this. You say, Ian, I'll just use Ian for the sake. Actually, can I get a volunteer? Anyone? We'll just do this live. Anybody brave? Rob, I've known you. Why not? Come on up. So if Rob is Ian, right, I would say this. Let's say he's been pulling the hair and being a little terror in lines and just won't calm down. I might say, hey, Ian, and I would say, I noticed you were standing in line and pulling the hair of someone in front. Right. So we might even get, but I just want to, yeah, he was. Now here's, and so here's where it goes. The I notice, right, and notice, I said I noticed. I noticed you were doing X, Y, Z. Highlight the behavior. The next question we ask them is probably one of the worst punishments you can give to a kid. Worse than running, worse than hitting them, worse than, I mean, anything you can think of. This gets really bad for a kid. All right, so I said, I noticed you were doing this, and you simply ask them, why do you think you did that? Cool, so he's going to have a response, all kids do. Here's where you go next. You say, oh, why do you think he's a jerk?
Because he pushed you.
Ah, so why do you think he pushed you?
I pushed you first.
Now, why do you think you pushed him first? See, now we can go as deep, and you're good, thanks. The point is, we go as deep as we can until we break that kid down, right? No, and the punishment on it is you keep going until he's so bored that all he wants to do is get out of there and get back in the drill, because that looks a lot more fun than this, even if he pays attention, right? So bore him, go deeper. Why? No one's ever going to ask him that. No one takes the time to do it these days, right? So why? Then you're going to put him in. Now let me tell you what's going to happen. You're going to put him in. 5-10 minutes, he's going to be okay, right? And then, hold on, I have to step back. Ending those, it is a good idea to try to have them tell you before you leave what a good behavior would have been. So going over it with them, what do you think you should have done? All right, so knowing that, what's going to happen is you're going to put him back in 5-10 minutes, great. Guess what's going to happen? This kid's going to do it again. Ian's going to be crazy again, start pushing, crying, pulling, right? So what should you do? You say, hey, Ian, come here real quick. Now, he's going to say, what? What do you mean? No, I'm good. No, come here real quick. Let's just take a second, you and I. And guess what? I notice, blah, blah, blah. Why do you think you did that? You bore him some more, and you just start drilling him and boring him more. And again, pretty soon on that, in that, he's gonna be like, Coach, what can I do? Can I do anything to not have to go and sit and talk to you? And you ask me why I think I might be doing stuff. It's terrible, right? So that's the key. Here's what also has happened. And this typically happens when we take the time with the kids. We have kids in camps we have to keep, right? We have all that. So this is what typically happens. And don't be surprised if you have a kid like this and you do this and this happens to you. At the end of the season, that kid comes up, and coming from a place where no one gives them love, where nobody cares about them, at least they don't feel it, they might come up and say, give you a big hug and say, Coach, you've been the best person to me ever. You've been the best coach and I love you. Because that's happened to me. That's what happened with Ian, and thankfully, Ian's okay today. I know him, he's in school, he's older, he's grown out of it, and obviously this didn't get him there, but it was a part that just kind of helped him get by and start thinking about his behavior. So with those kids, it can be tough, but just know, with some patience and with a little strategy, sometimes it helps. All right, we're going to end with that. Any questions on engagement, any behavior issues? If you have anything, of course, feel free to reach out.